Hi, everyone. Mike Hancock here, Chairman of the Circle of Excellence Group of Companies, and welcome to the workplace communication expert, Antoni Lacinai, who is a long-standing friend of mine and somebody who I really rate as being at the top of his game. He's one of the best known speakers in Sweden and experts in his area, which is communication. And today he's going to be talking about superpowers of communication. And I think for him in his career, certainly in the time that I've known him, I've found him to be a very steady person in his communication. Lots of clarity happens when you're talking with Antoni. Lots of clarity when you listen to him talking from a stage. And he has that ability to remember the detail as well. And I think that's something definitely I can learn from, because when you talk to a lot of people like we do, sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other. Well, not with Antoni. He remembers even the smallest things. So I think he's a brilliant communicator. And Antoni, welcome. I'm very much looking forward to what you have to say.
The pressure is on, remembering all the details. Going on a mingle or something like that. I can't remember half of the names afterwards anyway. So yeah, but we'll give it a try for sure. Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Good to see you live here. And hello, everyone who will watch this afterwards as well. Yeah, we'll talk about communication today. It's bloody hard. We think that we know how to communicate just because we learned how to pronounce words when we were 1 year old and then connect them to two words when we were 2 years old and so on. But it's really hard. And I do have some insights that I would like to share with you for sure. I don't know if anyone heard when I was held at gunpoint at a young age? Have you heard about that? Give me a hands up if you have. No? Oh, okay, good. Because this is actually a pivotal moment. For me, I'm looking at my life and I can see pivotal moments for what happened, why I chose to do what I do. So here's one of those reasons. I was young. I was about 24. So not that I was a young adult. And I had been out with my friends. It's 2 o'clock. It's in the night. It's a warm summer night. And it's in Sweden. So warm means 20 degrees Celsius. Just so you know, it's a warm summer night. And I'm on my way home and I'm drunk. I just have to admit it. I was out with my friends. I'm drunk. So I'm trying to get home to my, in downtown Gothenburg, where I lived at the time in Sweden. And halfway to my home, finally I meet two people. It was completely, abandoned otherwise, but two punks around 18, 19 years old. And they approached me. One of them said, "Hey, you," which in Gothenburgian means, "Excuse me, sir." And I said, I didn't say anything. I just looked at them. And then one of them said, "You got to smoke." And then I said, "No." And I just wanted to move on. Couldn't. The other guy said, up, hand me your wallet. And I said, "No." And I still tried to move on. It didn't work. The first guy brought out a gun and said, "Are you sure about that?" In Gothenburg accent, that would be, "Are you sure about that?" And of course, I said one word again. I said, "No," and I gave them the wallet. What could I do? And then I turned away and I'm thinking, oh, damn, I need to fix myself a new driver's license and cancel my credit cards and all that thing. That took like 5-10 seconds. I don't know, because I was drunk. And then I looked back again and there he was with a wallet handed out to me again. And I said, "Do I get my wallet back?" And he said, "Yes, because you had such good answers to our questions," he said. And I'm thinking to myself, I just said one word, "no." And I wanted to say, "No, I didn't," but I didn't do that, of course. In this case, I just decided to be their friend. So I pretended to be their friend, talking about, what's up with the gun. And they said, "Oh, my girlfriend broke up with me. I'm a bit upset." And I was thinking, that's an overreaction. I didn't say that either. I just pretended to be their friend. We talked for a while longer. And then I said, we parted ways. They went one way and I could hear them talk. Now, what a nice guy. I went the other way thinking, what idiots. Went up to my house, my flat, sat down on the bed, but I couldn't lie down on the bed, because this is when I sobered up and realized I'm 24 years old. I could have been dead at this point. I came out of this situation alive. No bullets in my body, no black eye, my wallet intact. What the hell happened? And looking back at that incident so many years ago, that was 1992, by the way. So now you can calculate how old I am. And by the way, I'm not old anymore. I'm just leveling up. So there you go. I'm on level 57 right now. So now you know that as well. But I remember this occasion, and I'm thinking that was a pivotal moment for me. I was already interested in building relationships. I was into sales, studying marketing, all those things. But I think I became more than interested at that point. I think I became a bit obsessed. And ever since, I've been looking to decipher the mysteries of human communication, if you will, trying to figure out why and how we get along, how we can best lead people, serve clients, collaborate with colleagues, and so on. And first, I did it as an employee. And then 19 years ago, I left the corporate world to do my own thing, to be self-employed. And at that point, I was teaching other people how to present, for instance. I was running workshops, I was moderating events, and sometimes I was speaking. But later on in life, I joined the National Speakers Association in Sweden. And then I decided to go more all into speaking as well, not just like one-offs, but more. And now, today, I am doing that mostly. So half at least of my time, I'm on a stage doing keynotes and lectures. And the other half, I'm still training other people to communicate better. Because again, communication is hard. And sometimes the smallest things make the biggest difference. I remember at that point in my life, this was in the 90s, as I said before, when I was drunk and all that, I just got a new job, my first job after the military service. And I asked the sales manager, why did I get the job? It was like in a retail store selling office supplies, so nothing special, but it was a job. And I asked him, it was about 100 people applying for this job. Why did I get the job? And he said, you were the only one who said hello and goodbye to the other staff in the store. The other one just paraded by all the other people. That was the only thing I did. 4 years later, I was recruited by one of the customers that I was serving in that store to work as a salesperson within their datacom distribution. And I say, I don't know anything about datacom. Why do you want me? You are the only one who says hi when we come into your store. And now I'm thinking the bar is so low. All you have to do is to recognize people's existence, look at them, and just say hi. What is that? It's not communication. It's like nonverbal communication mostly. But that's it, The bar is so low, and the smallest thing can make a big difference. So just imagine that when we talk about communication. I would like to start with a brain hack, something that I often do on a stage or other occasions when I want people to get into a good state of mind. Because if you're in a good state of mind, you will be much more receptive, much more open to ideas and discussion and dialogue instead of debate and battle, so to say. So my question to you, and I want you to use the chat for this one, is just to answer one simple question. Who make you happy? Who make you happy? Who make you warm inside? Who make you smile? Who make you laugh? Just put it in the chat. Anyone, just it could be more than one. Just who make you happy? Mike is quick. Landy, of course. Me, says Diane. I like that. That's the third time since I've been asking this question, many years by now, that somebody says me. Oh, again, Claire as well. Cool. Feeding off each other here, perhaps. My daughter, Sam says. My daughter. Not always, Jeffrey says. That's very honest of you. Nadia said my children as well. Here's the thing. I asked this question. It could be like 200 people, 1,000 people. I still ask the question. And normally people say my friends and my family. Some people say my colleagues. Some people say my clients, not very often. And then some people say my pets, my cat, my dog, or something like that. Very few times I've seen the answer me. And then most people say my children. And then I say, liars. I'm not talking about love. We love them, but they can irritate the shit out of you from time to time. But on the other hand, yes, they can make you smile and feel happy as well. Mike said, oh, my clients make me very happy. There you go. We make you happy, Mike. That's good. I like that. I'm happy when I see you as well, and all of you here as well. Some of you I've met before live as well. It's pretty cool. And some of you I've seen here on this. Colleagues can make me happy as well. Yeah, there you go. What have we done now? Well, this is a brain hack. I want to call it a brain hack. It's like we have this traffic light in our brains. And I want to show you this with a simple picture here. Am I pinned, by the way, Mike? It's like, can I enlarge myself, or can you do it yourself, people? Can you just go to the gallery view and make sure that I'm in a presenter view now? Because I'm not sharing screens. I'm doing everything on my side. I have a pretty cool setup here, if you will. So if you want to enlarge me on the screen, do it now, because I want to show you a couple of things. Like, for instance, not that one. I want to show you this one. Here we go. Here's the traffic light in our brain. Red, yellow, and green. This is taken from psychology. Mostly everything I'm talking about is psychology anyway, so this is one of them. Symbolically speaking, we have three systems. So the red light is the threat system in the brain here, the threat system. We need it to survive as a species. We cannot be too naive. We need some of it. The problem is when it goes bananas, because then we have the toxic environment. Everything is about attack and escape. I win, you lose, all of those things. Really hard if we're in that situation and we don't get access to the full brain. So we become a bit stupid because the cortisol is just pumping out. And all we want to do is to survive this situation. So we need it in small doses without the toxicity. The second one up here is the drive system. This is when we need this as well, because we need to find food, shelter, find a potential partner to, mix our DNA with. We need all those things to also survive. And when we do it, when we find something, when we reach our goals, our targets, we feel good. We get a dopamine high for a while, and then we want to do it again. That's how it works. So we need that too, but it cannot be too much of it, because if it's too much of it, we burn out. But we need it. Finally, we have the comfort system over here. Comfort system, the green light. This is where we have access to the full brain. We are at ease. We feel unthreatened. We feel good around people. There's no threats going on right now. So me asking you who make you happy is you going to the drive system, figuring out who it is, and then you go to the green light mindset, if you will. Use this as a metaphor, if you will, for where you want to be with people. If you can make them feel good around you, they will be open to new ideas instead of just searching for problems. This is part of, for me, the way we, how our attitudes and mindset will influence how we communicate. Does it make sense? Give me a thumbs up if it does. Yeah, cool. So for me, there is a clear link, and I want to show you this one as well, between our mindset. I'm using a heart for this one, the mindset. How that leads to how we communicate. If we're in the red light, where we communicate in one way. If we're in the green light, completely different way. So that's how we communicate. And that will lead to how motivated people will be when you speak to them, how engaged they will be when you speak to them. So if you have, for instance, team members, co-workers, your communication will determine their engagement. And the engagement is the key that unlocks performance. So performance is the next step here. Communication is the key that unlocks engagement. Engagement is the key that unlocks performance. And ultimately, it will create some sort of results. This is the link I'm talking about here. Communication in itself is nothing, but the effect of the communication that we have leads all the way to some sort of outcome through people. We say sometimes we are not islands or something like that. We are one, we have to connect more. And that makes sense. This is the link. So that's why I'm speaking about communication. I do it from this context. It's not by itself. We can be super technical, and I will actually give you some super practical tips as well, but it's about this link. And it can go good in a good way, it can be in a bad way. So, bad communication leads to low motivation and engagement, and we know that in that case, people will not perform very well, and the result will be really bad. So that's the link for all of it. Okay, with all that said, I have written and co-written 14 books by now. The 15th will come out on Friday. I've written a chapter in that book as well. It's from the Virtual Speakers Association that I've been part of, so I have the first one. Claire, are you not in the book as well? Yay! No, you're not? Okay, well, too bad. I was hoping that you would be my co-author. We are 16. Can't remember every name here. So, but I will come back to that at the end, because I will actually ask you to do something for me. Buy the book for $3 if you can, so we can get it up there on the Amazon list as well. All right, so one of those books is called Employee Engagement. It should be called Workplace Communication, really, but I called it Employee Engagement. And in that book, I share 20 insights on workplace communication, but also the 3 communication superpowers. And by the way, I'm mentioning this because at the end, I'm going to give you a QR code where you can download this book in a PDF, so you have it as well. So during all those decades that I've been looking into communication, I've distilled it into those 3 communication superpowers. And I'm going to show it to you right now, all of them, and then we give examples of each one of them. That's the plan. Is that okay? I'm going to look at you again. Yes? If you said no, I was thinking, okay, what should I do now? I can talk about something else. How I became global. I actually decided to become global in 2020, and then the pandemic hit, and I became global virtually, but it wasn't enough. And then I met Mike, and then I started to work with a Circle of Excellence, and then I actually become global. So now I am global. Part of that is thanks to you, Mike. So thank you for that. All right. Let's look at the 3 communication superpowers. Here they are. Energy, empathy, clarity. Energy, so that people believe that you believe. Why should they if you don't? And it's mostly visible in the oldest form of communication, millions of years old, before we even became Homo sapiens. And that's the non-verbal communication we're talking about here. So energy acts like a magnet. People are drawn to people with high energy. Negative and positive. You have, in politics, you can see how negative energy, people are drawn, negative people are drawn to people with, leaders with negative energy. But what we're talking about here is positive energy, of course. So it's like a magnet. And I remember my parents told me at one point, they were in Crete, in Greece, on a vacation. And you know how it is on restaurant streets. You have some restaurants who are filled with laughter and fun and music and people. And then there are some that are completely empty. You know how that works? Give me a hands up if you which kind of restaurant you want to go to. Do you want to go to the busy one where there are music and laughter and fun? Give me a hands up if you do. All right, cool. Give me a hands up if you don't, if you want to go to the empty one instead. I don't have anyone here, but in a crowded audience, when I speak on stage, there's always a couple of people who raise their hands. And then I insult them. I say, okay, so you're the engineers. And then they laugh, and then I say, or finance. And then they laugh a bit more. And then I say, you know what? You can actually be very good at calculating because you get food quicker over here. You might also be an introvert who doesn't like all that noise. So it's quite okay. But my parents went there. My mother said, let's go here. No, my dad said, let's go there. They went there. They got food really quick because that's what he wanted. And then they went like 300 meters to a fountain, and then they puked for 3 hours because they got food poisoning very quick as well. So be careful with that. People want to normally go where other people are. Go to a trade show, an empty booth? No. A busy booth? What's going on? So we do want that feeling of energy. Okay, that was that. Let's go into the other one. Empathy. Empathy so that you understand people, so that they feel that you get them, or at least try to get them. So empathy is one of those superpowers where you are very attentive, listening. You give them the one thing you can never get back in your life. What could that be? Put it in the chat. What is the one thing you can never get back in your life? Time. That is correct. So if you pair time and attention, that's the biggest gift you can give anyone. So empathy is really important from that perspective. I'm looking at the chat right now, and some people say, sometimes quiet is good. Yeah, I agree. But I was in Lithuania recently speaking for 1,500 HR professionals. And the day before, one of my speaker colleagues and I went out to have some dinner, and we disregarded all the empty places immediately because we were not sure about the food. So we went to a place where it was semi-busy, not too busy because we still wanted the food. All right, so time is the one thing. Empathy, so that you understand them. Now, empathy is also the most fragile of the three superpowers, because as soon as you feel superior or entitled to a lot of things, you lose empathy. And when I speak to leaders, and a lot of what I do is about leadership communication, I tell them to beware about this, because people will recognize this immediately. I want the best parking space. I want the corner office. I want this. I want that. You can't have it. I will have it. They know it immediately and they don't like it. So be careful with that. Again, talking about insulting people, engineers, and so on. I ask people, again, in the audience, how many of you drive a car? And most people raise their hands. Okay, talk to your neighbor, find out who has the most expensive car. And then they do that for 30 seconds. And then they raise their hands if they have the most expensive car. And then I say, you are the one who will not stop for pedestrians crossing the street, according to an experiment in the US. The more expensive your car, the less likely you are to stop for pedestrian crossing the street. And I say, if you have a BMW, it's included in the price. So now I get some more laughs, and then I've insulted all the BMW owners as well. So, after a while, I don't have anyone left, It's very strange. I don't even stop when I'm in a rental. There you go. Well, you should be humble here, Mike. We need to be humble when it comes to that. That's empathy. We can go into it a little bit more later on. Finally, let's go into clarity. So empathy is for you to understand them. Clarity is for them to understand you. And this is where it gets bloody hard, as I said before. We're a couple of people in this one. Hands up if you have ever, the last week, just at the last week, have you misunderstood somebody the last week? Give me hands up if you have. If you didn't raise your hand, you just misunderstood the question. There's impossible not to misunderstand people. We are not that person. We don't know what's going on in their minds. So we can only guess, and we can come close, but we will never be exactly, we cannot understand them completely. So we do it all the time, and they misunderstand you as well. This is the strangest thing. People say, but I said so. So obviously they should know. No, they don't, because they might think about something else. It's like, we've been around now for almost 20 minutes, more than 20 minutes actually, and you have been zoning out from time to time, thinking about other things. Give me a hands up if you can acknowledge the fact that you have. Yeah, there you go. You have not been completely attentive with everything I've been saying. Here's the thing about attention right now. 2004, we had an attention span, according to science, of 150 seconds. 2014, 10 years later, it was down to 75 seconds, cut in half. Introduction of smartphones and so on. 2024, it's down again to 47 seconds. We've been talking for more than 47 seconds. Of course, you've been somewhere else. I'm trying to engage you, involve you, and so on. We're using the chat and using the hands up, all of those things to draw you back in. But I know that you've been thinking about other things as well. So it's really hard. And also to be clear enough that you will remember anything I said. So we'll talk a little bit about what you can do there as well when it comes to making people remember it, because it's not enough that they understand you. They also have to remember what you said, if you want change to happen, of course. I'm going to look back into the chat here. Brussels is not for you, my God. There you go. Okay. It's still, going on with I'm not stopping for anyone. All right. One more thing when it comes to the superpowers then. I will show it to you again, the one here. If you have to prioritize them somehow, having one as the most important one, or at least the starting point, which one would you choose? Put it in the chat again. You have energy, the nonverbal communication. You have empathy, the ability to listen in. And then you have clarity, make them understand what you're saying. Which one would you put as number one in that case? I'm going to look at the chat here. Yeah. We have energy, we have empathy, energy, empathy, no clarity so far. Nobody thinks it's important to be clear. Oh, there we got one, Rob, thank you. We have all of them right now, cool. You are all correct, but some are more correct than others. According to my studies, at least, there is a difference between them, and this is it. Empathy counts as number one. Why is that? Well, because if you don't know who you're talking to, how can you be sure that you make yourself understood? So you start with empathy. If we talk about leadership, this is the one. If your teams have a perception that you are a great leader and that you have high empathy, their engagement level will go through the roof compared to if they don't feel that you have it. So it's really important to do it. Again, it's the key that unlocks engagement and then performance. So it's really important that we have it. Empathy is number one. Here's what I propose that you do in any conversation or even in a presentation. Start with empathy, figuring out who you have in front of you. Then tailor your message to them. You cannot have one message for everyone. Engineers and finance will not speak the same language even. So you have to figure out who it is that you're talking to, what is important for them, and so on. And then you design your message accordingly, and then you deliver it with the right energy. That's the flow. And then some of you can say, okay, I'm really good at one of them at least. Let's see if I can go back to this one. I'm good at one of them. Isn't that enough? Absolutely not. If you only have energy, but you lack clarity, you run around, in the conference room or on a stage or wherever, you become a clown. You don't want to be a clown in your business. Claire's laughing at you. Of course you don't want to be a clown. But hey, let's go the other way. If you only have clarity, you're really clear, but you lack empathy, well, then you're an insensitive douchebag. Nobody wants to be around you. But then empathy, as I said, is the one. Well, if empathy is all you have, nothing will happen. You will be a therapist just asking questions all the time about how people feel. Not good enough. You need all three of them in a balance, just like Nadia is saying here. You need the balance of them. And normally we are better at one than others. So we need to at least work on it. It should be on a decent level, you can say. If it's on a decent level, that's okay. And then focusing on your strengths after that. So a couple of things now from that perspective, starting with empathy, then go into clarity, and then end it with energy. That's the flow for the rest of this session. And we will not go on for another half hour, but we'll have a couple of things, and then we'll have an open Q&A talking about reflections and so on, and then we're done. Does that sound okay? Yes, I'm looking at you. Good, let's do it then. Starting with empathy. There's two things about empathy for me. I mean, first of all, it's about, really putting yourself in the other person's shoes and so on. So it's about preparation. If you have, for instance, a customer meeting or so. I will actually have a meeting later on today, and I went into ChatGPT saying, you're the best expert in personality testing and all that. I'm going to meet this person. Here's the email address. That's all I have. Tell me about him. What's important to him? What does he like? How should I communicate with him? And bloody hell, it looks good. I'm gonna test it now and see what it is. But it sounds like this AI tool has figured it out based on all the things that it could find on that person and the way they communicate. So I'm going to look at that. So preparation is one, especially when you're presenting something. Do the preparation. Find out who it is. If it's a business that you're going to meet, well, what are their KPIs? What's happening in their business right now? What's the situation and so on. Find out. And the other one is connecting. How can we connect once we speak to them? Of course, if it's a conversation, then you do it already. You can do some work before, but then you validate while you're in the conversation as well. So spend a lot of time on asking the right questions, listening, not to respond, but to understand. Big difference. Do you remember the story I told you about the gunpoint thing? Okay, so the morning after, I went to my work, and there was one colleague of mine. His name was Lars. And I said, Lars, I have to tell you about what happened last night. And I told Lars about what happened last night, and his response was, that was nothing. You should have seen my brother. And then he talked about his brother for the next 15 minutes, how he was in a worse spot than I was, and so on, belittling my experience. And I don't want to talk to Lars ever after, not about important things anyway, because he didn't listen. He just registered what I said and then just went on with his own story. That's not what I wanted in that case. So we can do a lot here if we connect in the right way, if we listen in the right way. And I have failed many times, but sometimes I actually made good things as well. One of the times when I failed was when I couldn't connect. I had a customer meeting, or a potential customer meeting, a big company in Sweden. You might have heard about them, H&M, clothing company. Yeah, this was 17 years ago. I was still a rookie in my self-employed world. I went there, met the HR director or something like that, and we had a really good conversation going on. He was witty, he was quick, I was the same. But then he said, I will resign, I will actually be a pensioner in 2 weeks. So I will introduce you to my successor. And he did. That was nice of him. But the new person was really slow. And I couldn't adapt. I went on just like I did with the first one. And he was, whoa. It was so strange. I didn't reach him. I didn't connect. Nothing happened. I went out from that meeting saying, shit, I trained people in this. And then I did the mistake anyway. I called him up. I said, thank you for meeting me. I think it was a really bad meeting. And he said, what? And I said, yes, I was too eager. Nothing happened. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. And he said, no, everything is fine. We know what you have. It's good. Let's be in touch. Do you think he ever called me after that? No. He didn't even respond to my calls after that. And I didn't work with H&M for all these years, up until actually last week, when after 17 years in a completely different department, did my first work with H&M. That was like revenge. I got back into the game. Took 17 years. Still long. Another one where I actually succeeded was when I was handling an award ceremony. I did the MC work in the day, and in the evening it was an award ceremony, and there was a dinner in between. At the dinner, I sat down, and next to me sat this man down, which I can only describe as gray, the color gray. Everything about him was gray. His hair, his skin, his clothes. I tell you, the doors to H&M wouldn't open if he went there. He had no charisma whatsoever, I thought. But then I changed my mind. There's always a story. Everyone has a story. Everyone has one book that they can write, a book about themselves. So I just turned to him and I said, tell me about yourself. What's important in your life? That was it. He spoke for 45 minutes straight. And it was so exciting to listen to him. He helped kids who were in trouble with their alcoholic parents, and he helped them have a better life. He became all the colors in the world. It was incredible. I was so happy that I gave him that opportunity and gave him my gift of time and attention. After 45 minutes, I had to raise up, and I said to him, thank you so much. It's time for me to take care of the award ceremony. He stood up as well, took my hands, shook it vigorously, and he said, thank you for a great discussion. I can tell you now, there was no discussion going on whatsoever. It wasn't even a dialogue. I just asked him a question and he was off because he was so happy that somebody finally listened to him. That's the power of empathy, if you do it right. Many times, this is the thing that people remember most afterwards. I'm telling them about how I come to daycare. My kids are old. I mean, they're 25 and 20. But the 25-year-old, when he was only 4 years old, I always came to daycare early because I didn't want him to suffer. And I still was on the phone working. So I didn't pay attention to him. I just wanted to drag him away. And then he said, Daddy. And I said, yes. Can you pick me up later? I said, what? You are not here anyway. You're always on the phone. And that was, of course, heartbreaking for me. And for some reason, that was like almost, I didn't mean to put that into some sort of big message, but it was like, that's one of the things people take with them. oh, damn, I need to stop and listen more. I need to just be present more with my family, with my co-workers and everything like that. It's so easy for me to just rush off to the next thing, always stressed, always on the move. Stopping there for like another 3 minutes, just be there with them. It's really helpful for you and for the relationship as well. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Clarity. Clarity. Here's another story when I messed up completely. Back into the late 90s now, I was working for the company Ericsson, if you know the Ericsson, the telecom company, some of you know. So I was walking down the street in Stockholm where the head office was, and you know how you sometimes can feel that somebody's looking at you, and you start to look around, and yes, very much so. On the other side of the street, this man is staring at me. And then he walks towards me like a missile. And I'm thinking, what the hell is happening right now? But he looked happy. So I was okay. The red light became at least yellow. It wasn't too bad. And he went up to me and he said, it's you, it's you. And I said, it's me, it's me. Who are you? I understand that you don't know who I am. With so many people, just 12,500 people where I was working at Ericsson alone in that region. But I'm one of your colleagues. I was with you when you presented on that conference in Boca Raton just a few months ago. Do you remember? Of course I remember. I was thinking, yeah, I remember that one. It was a good one. I liked it. A good atmosphere. And then he said, you were awesome, man. And you know what? I grew an inch. I was thinking, thank you. I don't remember anything you say, but you were awesome, he said. And there it hit me. That was not praise. My personal brand might have been good, but nothing happened afterwards. And I remember nothing actually did happen afterwards. At that point, I was working with competitive intelligence, and I wanted the whole community to share what the competitors were doing in the respective market. Nothing happened. Nobody did anything. Even though I got almost standing ovations at that point, nothing happened. And that's when I realized it's not good enough to have the gift wrapping of a present in the word presentation. You need to have something inside that people can relate to and remember. Not only understand, but also remember. So we need to make our content memorable, because here's the kicker. People cannot act on what they don't remember. So when you say, why didn't you do that? Because I didn't remember it, obviously. And again, it works for us as entrepreneurs. It works for leaders in a company. It works in relationships. You know, anyone who has had that in a relationship, you said, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, and then they go on like that forever. So make sure people remember what you say. And I'll give you 3 different ways of making people remember. If you want to, by the way, let me know. I've written a chapter at the GSS in Bali. I wrote a chapter in a book there, which is called 9 Memory Hacks that makes your audience remember what you say. And I will be happy to share it with you. So just get in touch with me and you can do that. If you want to, you find me on LinkedIn. My name is the only one in the world with, I'm the only one in the world with that name. So you can find me on that one as well, Antoni@lacinai.com. So there you go. Just get it to me. Sam, please do it like that, because I won't remember otherwise. Just send it to me or something so we can do it. I will be happy to send it to you. All right. So 3 things you can do. Number 1, dress your message in a story. Storytelling is borderline magic, because it doesn't only reach out, it reaches in. Hands up if you remember the story about the 2 punks who tried to rob me. Yeah. Okay, let me ask you about that story. When during the seasons we have was it? Was it winter, autumn, spring, summer? Where was it? Put it in the chat if you do that. Summer. Yes, Agnes, it was summer. Was it during the day, the evening, the night, the morning? When was it? Night. How many people did I meet? 2. Yeah, there we go. 3. No, Claire, it was 2. Me and 2 other. Okay, so we were 3 together. That's okay. That's okay. And there you go. 20 degrees. They are exactly 20 degrees. I said that specifically to give some more and my specificity into it. So storytelling is really, really good if you want people to remember. But also, remember this, stories without some sort of relevance is just entertainment. Stories with relevance, that's when the magic happens. So when I talked about how I failed, for instance, it's you, I don't remember anything you said, but you were awesome. That's me teeing up for the fact that you need to be memorable when you speak. That's the part of the clarity. So if you can connect those two, then it's really important. If it's just a story about somebody not remembering, then it's not good enough. So you need that combination. What do you need in a story? Super simple when we talk about non-fiction. We talk about business storytelling, corporate storytelling. A time and a place, a person, a problem, and a solution. That's it. A time and a place is even optional, but if you have them, people will remember it better. That's when I said long time ago in 1992 in Gothenburg, west coast of Sweden. So there you go. It's easy for people to remember what you say when you put a time and a place. But the rest is just you have to have them. It has to be about someone. It could be about you. It could be about someone else. It could be even a more abstract entity, like a client of mine also experienced this, and then you can talk about that as well. It doesn't even have to happen, by the way. It could be in the future. Imagine when, and then you can take a story about what could happen as well. So it doesn't have to be a true story. So it has to be about someone. It has to be something that they have to overcome, an opportunity, a problem, a challenge, something, and then it has to be a solution. What happened then? If you have that, you have a corporate story. It's not like in the fiction world. If you ever read Mike's book, the trilogy right now, but I think it's going to be a fourth book, isn't it, Mike? With your truth seekers. I've read all of them. That's a different thing. That's what's called a hero's journey. It's much more complicated. It's 12 steps and all that. And you all seen them if you looked at movies like Harry Potter or Star Wars. It's the same concept, or The Matrix. Starting about someone in a mundane world, pretty boring, and then they're invited to a journey, and then they're off to this whole journey, and then you find out who the bad guy is, who the good guy is, and they come out of the situation wiser. That's not what we're talking about here. It's much more simple in a corporate world. So use those things, time and a place, a person, problem, and a solution, and then add some specificity to it by using the 5 senses. If I can see what you see, if I can hear what you hear, if I can feel what you feel, even taste and smell what I will be in your story. I will sucked into the story. I will remember much more of it. Thank you, Mike, for giving that. I didn't have much of a slide for this, so I just want to talk about that one. You got that one now, okay? Stories, really important, especially when you connect them to a relevant fact or something you want to get across. Good. The second one is taking things from the abstract world into the concrete world. Stories can do that as well, but you can also use metaphors and analogies in a really clever way, because people will remember it much better if it connects back to their own world somehow, where it's much more concrete. Every time we talk about nutrition, it's really hard, but if you talk about oranges, it's much easier. And the same goes for everything. I mean, I was in the telecom world back in the days. I think it's 5 people in the whole world who can genuinely speak about 5G, like properly, knowing exactly how it works. For the rest of us, it's enough that I say it's like a super fast digital highway. People get it. It's fast. That's all we need to know. And what about the song from the Archies that I really like? It's called Sugar. You know that song? I'm going to sing to you right now. It goes something like this. Sugar, ta 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 ta, honey, honey, ta 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 ta. You are my candy girl. You know the song. Do you really think they sing about glucoses or bee vomit? No. They sing about this girl that they want to date or marry or do something else with. That's all. And we get it immediately. Sugar, that's the metaphor for her. An analogy is when you say it's like a super fast highway. And there you go. It's the same thing. The third thing I want to add here is the power of 3. We remember things in triads. So if you have one message that's the best, you can use 3 examples for that one. Never have more than 3 messages, because then it's just too much of a cognitive overload in the brain. Most of our fairy tales are based on the number 3. 3 wishes from the genie. 3 piglets and the big bad wolf, 3 bears for Goldilocks. We can go on like that. And it's the same with a lot of things we remember as well, like blood, sweat, and, what is the third word? Blood, sweat, and what? Put it in the chat. Blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah, there you go. Gold stars to you. How about sex and drugs and what is the third word? Sex and drugs and rock and roll. Yes. Again, we can go on like this forever. Veni, vidi, vici and all that. You know that Winston Churchill said blood, sweat, and tears? But he didn't. He had 4 words. This rhetorical genius had 4 words. The 4th word is toil. Who remembers toil? It's an abstract, strange word that nobody uses in their daily language. No. We're going to remember the concrete 3 body fluids: blood, sweat, tears. We got it. And that's why people say blood, sweat, and tears, even though he didn't say it. Storytelling, metaphors, analogies, and the power of 3. If you can dress your message in 3, it's going to be much more easy for people to remember what you said. The son that I had, 4 years old, who said, "Come later," when he was like 2, he started to count. And he's, by the way, a civil engineer, like very soon. He's the math genius in our family. When he was like a small kid, he just said 1, 2, 3, many. And that's how the brain works as well. So the power of 3 is really important. Finally, let's have a segue into energy. And I want to show you this quote from Maya Angelou that I think many of you have seen. "I have learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." I see some nodding here. How many of you have seen this one before? Okay. And if you haven't, give me a hands up if you like it. If you like it. Do you like it? Yeah? Well, I just told you that people cannot act on what they don't remember. So how can you like this one? It's not good enough, is it? I really like it as well, but it's not good enough from a communication perspective. If they don't feel you, they won't follow you. That is probably a fact. This is what I believe is the truth. But they have to act in order to do something as well. And that's when the whole memory part comes in and the clarity that you need as well. So this is good, but it's just halfway there. Information creates understanding. Emotions creates action. So yes, it's good, but they also need to have some understanding of what it's about. So non-verbally, we can do so many things. I'd like to test one thing with you right now. I will show you again on this side a person A and a person B, and I would like you to actually, what you can do here, you can unmute yourself and just shout out which one you believe is most okay when you see them, and you have 1 second to do it. So this is not about analysis here. If you take more than 1 second, you get the grade F for fail. But if you do it within 1 second, you get a gold star. But you have to shout it out. Is it okay, everyone? Yes?
Okay.
Diane, are you with me as well? I see that you're still muted,
Yes.
and Claire as well. You need to unmute yourself now because I'm going to show you this picture now. So here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Hey.
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 Wow, it was more than 1 second for most of you, but still okay. Claire even wrote it down. A. Yes. I mean, we don't know anything about these 2 people, do we? Nothing. But this is how the brain works. It takes like 0.35 seconds for us to detect the facial expression. And if you look happy, then probably you're more okay than if you don't. But at this point, we have no idea. This is called the primacy effect in psychological language, but most of us knows it as the power of the first, you know what it is? Impression. Claire says it, but she was muted, but I can see it on her lip there. The first impression. But we have no idea. What if both of them are witnessing somebody kicking a dog? Would you still think that A is better than B? Probably not, right? So we have no idea. But this is the power we have from a nonverbal perspective to get people to feel good. You smile all the way, by the way, all the way up to your eyes. So this is a smile. This is not a smile. So it's called a Duchenne smile. You have to have some wrinkles here in order to make that really smile. You have an open body language, which means that your hands are not here or here or here. It's here. It's open. Can you still hear me, by the way? I'm moving away from the microphone. It's okay? Yeah. That's enough for people to feel unthreatened, to go from the yellow to the green instead of to the red. So creating that feeling of openness and vulnerability will help them also be at ease with you. And there are more things we can do, of course, when it comes to that. And actually, I think I will just give you a link to my downloadable material, because that's where you have the chapter. I can do it in the chat here now. And that's where you have another small booklet from me of 51 gestures and what they mean. It's called Understanding Body Language. So we can get that as well. I mean, I have tons of things that I can just give away to you, so you can use it as much as you can. But there are a number of things you can do from a body perspective, body language perspective, but also from your voice as well. So let's use some of them at this point. I'm going to step away a little bit here so you can see more of me. Is it okay? Still, the sound is okay? Yeah, all right. So what if I meet you in person and I do this? Palms up like this. What do I signal now? Put that in the chat. What is this for you? I see. I'm open. Okay, Claire left it. I'm open, honest, friendly, open to conversation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm even confident because, again, I dare to do this. There's nobody's putting a spear inside me here. So this is okay. I'm open. Should you do that all the time? Absolutely not. Not a good idea, because it also means that you are inviting people of their opinions. But if you have an opinion that is really strong, you don't want to debate it, then you can't do this. You can't say, you absolutely should buy my product, it's the best one in the world. Because it's really not, right? Because you do this. In that case, you just turn it like that instead. You absolutely should buy this product, it's the best one in the world. You just move your hands like this instead. That little simple gesture will make a big difference, because now you're making a statement. Now, if you do this all the time, it will come across as insensitive. Not good. This is mansplaining in many cases. Like this story I heard about this man trying to explain the content of a book to a woman, and even when he found out that she wrote the book, he could not stop. He just went on like that. That doesn't work. Ton of things you can do with your voice, with your body language, the energy part of that. If you have a good energy, high energy, paired with high clarity, you also get a lot of engagement with people. So find a way to balance these two as well when it comes to your presentation, for instance. Again, you can have a very dynamic voice or a very flat voice. We're not going to go into it right now, but you get the idea about it. We can only say that if you have a computer fan going on or something else in your building and it turns off, then you notice it. You don't notice it otherwise. You just put it aside. And that's exactly what's happening if you have a too flat voice, for instance. You need to have a dynamic voice as well if you want people to pay attention and listen to you. I hope all of this made sense to you, but I want to end my part because we still have 5 minutes then if there's anything you want to add. And I also want to show you as well the link now to that you can download things for as well. But I want to end with Milton, my youngest son, turning 21 next week. But when he was only 6 years old, I asked him, can you tell me, Milton, what is the difference between being able to hear and being able to listen? Now, Milton is our social genius. Elliot is the math genius. And Milton looked up at me and he said, you are the communication expert. You should know. And I said, yes, but I'm interested in your opinion. And then he said, pay attention. To be able to hear, Daddy, that is simply to not be deaf. That's all. But to listen, that's when you really try to understand what the other person is saying. And not only what they're saying, but also what they mean. Do you get it? I'm looking at my son for 3 silent seconds before I say, welcome to the company, my son. He got it. He really understood the power of empathy, the power of listening instead of just hearing sound waves. He got it. So the 3 communication superpowers are empathy, so that you understand people, clarity, so they understand you, you make them feel smart, and then energy. So you deliver it with the right body language and voice to match that message. That's it. If you do that well, you get along with people better, build better relationship, influence more people, and as a positive side effect, you become more charismatic as well. There you go. I want to show you two things. The first thing is on Friday, this book will come out on Amazon. And if you have $2 or $3 over, find it and buy it on Amazon so we can get that up to the list. Connect, Lead, Succeed. I am one of the co-writers over here. 16 of us is writing this book. This is a conference in a book. The whole concept came about when I talked to Dixie, who edited the book, saying, hey, why don't you act as a moderator in the book, introducing each speaker? So it's a pretty cool concept. The second thing I wanted to give you then is the whole, and this is what I give after a keynote as well. It's this QR code, which leads you to a hidden page on my webpage where you can download the book I talked about, also go into downloadable material. We have lots of more things to give, I can give you. You have the link to my LinkedIn and all sorts of things. So this is for you. Use it as much as you want to. And with that, only 2 minutes left on the clock. I say thank you so much.
Antoni, thank you so much. I think that was amazing. I think that for the people on watching this who ever want to speak, that was textbook brilliance in working your audience online, using different modalities, standing up when you speak. I think you did a wonderful job. The content was fantastic. Some really great messages in there. And I just want to click back through the chat just for a second here to get to where.
Thank you, Agnes, Sam.
Here we go. So,
awesome. I didn't, because you don't have a camera on. It's you, Dr.
Yeah,
Sam.
it is
there
Sam.
You go. Hello.
Yeah. So number one, dress your message in a story. Number two,
Inge.
take things from the abstract to the physical world. And number three is the power of three. So wonderful learnings. Thank you, everyone. We're right on the out. Thank you again, Antoni. That was just brilliant. We'll see you all later.
My pleasure. We help each other. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.